Katie, could you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, our veterans, those fighting the good fight in Ukraine, and those suffering from military conflict in the Middle East. In memorandum of Frank Wargo and Pat McGuire. May their memories be eternal. Thank you. Katie, American Creed.
Yes, The American's Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in
the United States of America, as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the government, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and defend it against all enemies.
Sal, do we have anybody for public comment?
I don't have anybody, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Sal. Next, Katie, the consent agenda.
Okay, item 4A and B, I'd like to move that we approve both. Item A, prior minutes. Item B, tax collector.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Item 5, I'd like to move that we approve the Parks and Rec accepting the following donations to be put in the New Milford Park and Recreation Gift Fund. Donation of $75 from the Savings Bank of Danbury, donation of $150 from All American Waste, and $50 gift card from Costco. The Milford Parks and Recreation Commission would like to thank the donors for their generosity.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay, item number 6. I'd like to move that we approve the following appointments to the Cultural District. These are reappointments and appointments. I guess we have a couple new ones. Discussion and possible action on that. Cultural District Committee, 9 members. Betty Lou Mandler, Deborah Rose, Valerie Lorimer, Jason Roberts, Leva Furman, Ella Newman, Amy Birkin, Olga Rella, Katie Francis, alternate. The term for Betty Lou and Deborah, November 12th, 2024 to January 31st, 2028. For Valerie, Jason, that's same November 12th to January 31st, 2026. If I'd known this, I would have done this differently. The bus term is November 12th to January 31st, 2028. And then we go to Ellen Newman and Amy Birkin, November 12th, 2024 to January 31st, 2026, along with Olga Rella. And then finally, myself, November 12th, 2024 to January 31st, 2028.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? And then before we move on to Mayor's comments, at the leisure of the Town Council, Mayor Furman had asked if we could add Bob from the Chamber
Yes.
to the Cultural District Committee, as we need someone from the business community to round out the Cultural District. So if we could make a motion to add to the agenda and then put Bob's name in, if that's
I'd like
okay.
to move that we add item 6B to our agenda, to add
Second.
to the Cultural District, name of Bob Relling.
Who is it?
Second.
Bob Relling, he's the director of the Chamber.
Term to be November 12th, 2024 to, we got
2028. So it'll be alternate.
January 31st, 2028.
Is he RDU?
What's that?
Bob an RD or you?
You.
Is you?
Any discussion?
So you're voting on a motion to add, right?
To add to the agenda, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Katie? We could make a motion to add.
I make a motion to add to the Cultural District, item 6B, to add Bob Relling to the members of the Cultural District Committee, and that would be a term of November 12th, 2024 through January 31st, 2028. And would that be an alternate or a full member?
Alternate.
And he'd be an alternate.
Yep.
Second that.
And second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number, 7, James comments.
Thank you, Katie.
Yes.
Just real quick, couple of items coming up this coming holiday season. We have the day after Thanksgiving, we have our Saturday small business, and then we also have our tree lighting ceremony that will be happening on the greens. We're inviting everyone to come and to attend. I want to thank the Daughters of the American Revolution and the VFW, Boy Scouts that were there to help with the Veterans Breakfast that was very well received. And thank you to everyone that came to our Veterans ceremony yesterday. Had a lot of people, it was great to see, and a special thank you to our Children's Center that came down with the young students that came down and made it an even better special day. So thank you to them. Congratulations to the New Milford High School field hockey team as they made it to the States, made it in the semifinals. So congratulations on a very successful season to Coach Dawn and the group as well. And with that being said, that's all I have for mayor comments.
Okay. Item 8, I'd like to move that we approve the appropriation of funds from the mental health first aid, from the Opioid Settlement Committee funds for their mental health first aid proposal.
Second.
And we have somebody.
And we have Amy's here representing the Opioid.
Hi everyone, how are you tonight? Unfortunately, Tony wasn't able to make it, but I'll give just a little bit of an overview on this proposal from the Opioid Settlement Committee. So this proposal is for a program called Mental Health First Aid. A mental health first aid is an evidence-based early intervention course that teaches individuals how to safely and responsibly identify and address a potential mental health or substance use challenge. The course uses community-specific scenarios, activities, and videos to teach the skills needed to respond to signs and symptoms of mental health and substance use, and to provide support until impacted individuals are connected with appropriate professional help. What we're requesting funding for is through this proposal is training for 3 individuals to get both adult and youth mental health first aid training, and this will allow them to act as trainers for members in the adult population and members in the youth population. Furthermore, we're requesting funding for 16 instructor candidates to partake in teen mental health training. This was not a proposal that we came through just because it is evidence-based. We actually spoke to a number of different members in the community. We spoke to the superintendent here in New Milford, and we spoke with the resource officers and some other individuals that work at the high school here in New Milford. They all recommended that these were good interventions and these were appropriate because unfortunately we're finding that we have to intervene earlier on in life for children, and the middle school population, the teenage population is the right group that we should focus on. So that is the reasoning behind this proposal.
And Amy, how much is the committee looking to expand out of the opioid settlement fund?
So the total cost for this program is $39,200.
39?
Correct.
39,000.
So what's the number that I'm looking at here? The 13 to.
So there are 2 separate portions to this proposal. So the first is for the adult and youth training, and that is the $13,200, and then for the teen mental health first aid training is an additional $26,000. If it's not the one I do have in front of you, I have another copy I can hand out as well.
Is that included, or did I not see it?
And the total cost of the 2 programs is $39,200.
In the packet.
I have one.
I have it. You have it in your hand, Doug.
Yeah, that's just 13 too.
And that's what you just said. Oh, 39, I'm sorry,
I'm still
39.
looking for the other copy.
Can you break it up for everybody so we have in the minutes anything?
Yep, absolutely. So for the 3 trainees for the adult and youth, it is the $13,200, and then for the 16 instructor candidates for a 3-day private training, it is $26,000.
And the benefit of the private training, Amy, would be for, so the public that's maybe viewing it, what would be the benefit?
So the benefit for that private training is to recruit, hopefully teachers, folks from the youth agency, folks from our community who will be able to work with teens to train them in this mental health first aid. And the one-on-one training will ensure that these 16 trainers are very well versed in these concepts.
And as we've talked about before, mental health has been a big, huge proponent outside of COVID with the hybrid learning and remote learning and fully closed when we went through COVID. So this is a great opportunity to really help the district, school district, and us as a community and youth agency.
I think it's a great start to use this money too.
Amy,
I really do. I think it's great.
oh, sorry, Tom.
Sorry.
How much money is left in the opioid settlement fund right now?
We checked recently. I believe it's around 100,000. I would have to double check with the
Okay,
finance.
so
folks.
this, we deduct the 39,000 just to kind of keep my
Yeah, I
head.
think it's even more than that.
Might be, it goes up all the time, yeah.
Great use of the money though.
We have a motion and we have a second.
Yep.
So, Amy, just a quick question. So these people that are being trained, they're sprinkled throughout New Milford, correct? Or are they?
Correct.
Okay.
So
And
we're
are
looking-
they chosen, or they volunteer, or how are these people selected?
So we might volunteer some of them, but yes, we're looking for volunteers as well.
Okay.
And the requirement is that they would be interested in teaching 2 courses for either teens, adults, or youth to make sure that they're paying it forward.
These people have to have a background at all in anything for the
The preference would be that they work with these populations.
Are they involved in the school system? I mean,
Yes, we
Okay.
will be recruiting folks.
So
in
to
the
help
school system.
spread it throughout the school system and stuff like that. Okay, good. Thank you.
I'll tell.
Any other questions for Amy? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 9, an update from our health director, Amy Becci. Well,
Spin around. And there she is.
So I do have a PowerPoint if we have access to that. That would
Should
be
we
great.
write in that?
So the purpose of this presentation is to talk a little bit about some of the letters that folks may have received recently to their homes from Aquarian. So why did I get a letter from Aquarian regarding my service line? So public water systems have been conducting an inventory of drinking water system service lines. A service line is a pipe that connects a water main to a home or another type of building. And really the goal of this initiative that comes down from the EPA is to identify and replace all drinking water service lines made of lead and galvanized steel, which is downstream of lead. So the notification of service line material made of lead or potential lead. So the notification letters came as one version of the following. So one is a notice of a confirmed lead water service line, and what this means is that Aquarian's most recent service line inventory indicated that some or all of the water service line materials between the water main and your property line are lead. Option number 2 was notice of a confirmed galvanized water service line, and what this means is that Aquarian's most recent service line inventory indicated that some or all of the service materials were galvanized, which do require replacement. While this material is not lead, it may have it may have built up lead deposits over time, so this is definitely something we want to replace as well. And then option number 3 is notice of unknown water service materials, which means that Aquarian's most recent service line inventory indicated that some or all of the service line materials were unknown. Unknown means that the service line can be lead. So why are lead and galvanized pipes a problem? So lead can leach into drinking water from corroded pipes, fixtures, and solder holding pipes together. Corrosion inside galvanized pipes can trap lead, which can then be released into the water supply. Lead is a problem because it can cause serious health issues, especially for young children and infants, and expectant parents, can also pass lead to a baby during pregnancy. So where is lead found? This is not something that's new. This is something that US Congress and the United States in general has done a lot of work to eliminate over the past number of years. So the US Congress took steps to limit lead pipes in 1986 and then again in 2014. However, lead may still exist in a home's plumbing and fixtures. Lead plumbing can contribute to lead in drinking water by slowly dissolving into water it comes into contact with, or breaking off tiny pieces as the water flows through in a process called corrosion. Aquarian states that there is no lead in the water that leaves their treatment plant or the underground pipes it runs through to reach customers or water mains. That's a good thing. But it can enter tap water through a service line, which is the line that brings water from the main to your house, and also from the pipes, plumbing, and faucets inside of your home. So what are some of the common sources of lead in your home? So depending on the age of your home, it may have lead lines, pipes, fittings, or fixtures. So for example, homes built in the mid-1950s may have galvanized iron or steel plumbing lines. Homes built before 1988 may have lead service lines with a few exceptions. Most were installed in homes built before 1930. And again, this is just like lead paint. It's typically a problem in older homes. Homes built before 1988 may have plumbing with lead solder and or brass components that may have lead. Water faucets and fixtures labeled lead-free but installed before 2014 may still have low levels of lead, so that's something to keep an eye out for. And here's how we can start to look at lead service line ownership. So when we're talking about the water main, it's connected to a city-owned service line, and then you'll see that curb stop. That curb stop is where the city or the town's, the municipal service line ends and the customer-owned service line begins. We'll take a look at the Aquarian water service line map in a moment, and we can see how Aquarian works to identify both the materials in the city-owned service line and also in the customer-owned service line. So what do I do now? If you've received a notification from your water supplier about your water service line material, please contact your water company for more information to learn how they can replace or identify the material that your water line is made from. Here are some other options as well. You can ask your water company about testing your water for the presence of lead, or you can test on your own through a local certified laboratory, and fortunately these tests are economical. A lead water test costs approximately $30. You can also reach out to HVHD with any questions. And what can you do immediately? So you can also review the EPA's Quick Check for Lead Guide, and this is a really fantastic link to help you determine if you have a lead service line bringing water into your home. It gives you a lot of information, gives you pictures, you can test with a penny, you can actually look at what your service line is made of on your own. You can also take a look at the lead service line inventory that's been posted on the Aquarian website. What I did here is I just put in an address in New Milford, and we can see some of those yellow triangles are for galvanized materials. The checked green box is really what we're looking for. You can see here it says utility side copper, customer side copper. That's gold standard, that's what we want. Some of the question marks may be that it's unknown, or is that it's unknown. As I mentioned, the yellow is galvanized, and then if you see a red indicator, that means that the service line is lead. So what else? We'd also like that you follow HVHD on social media for posts about funding for water system and infrastructure projects, as well as other health-related information. This link that I'm including here, I'll link to a little bit later in the presentation, and it's actually a link for community water systems. So community water systems and folks who own those systems can click on this link and you can apply for funding. Any work that's done, any testing, and then testing that leads to treatment will be funded through this program. So I recommend that folks utilize this link. Other sources of funding. So we had mentioned at a town council meeting, I think a few months ago at this point, that Mayor Bass had promoted the Clean Water Assistance Program. So this is a really fantastic program where through the mayor's office you can apply for some funding for a filtration system, and there are a number of different options that we recommend. The community water system funding was that link that I mentioned a moment ago, and I'd also like to invite Barbara, who is here from Connecticut Green Bank, up to speak about some of the options for funding through Connecticut Green Bank.
Barbara, you can see your last name.
Waters, W-A-T-E-R-S.
Oh,
Very appropriate. Hi there, I'm Barbara Waters with the Connecticut Green Bank. Green Bank's been around since 2011. Since 2013, we've had a program called the Smarty Loan Program. And we have given out thousands of loans, primarily for energy efficiency and clean energy loans for homeowners in Connecticut. It has to be homeowners, and they have to can be 1 to 4 units, but the homeowner has to live in the building. Starting in 2022, the legislature expanded our scope to include environmental resiliency, and we decided to focus on water as a primary focus for homeowners for the Smarty Loan Program. I have some sheets here that I'll leave here that you can take a look at.
Thank you.
The Smarty Loan Program offers loans ranging from $500 to $50,000. The customers apply directly with local lenders in your area. That would be Mutual Security, Union, I believe Ion may be out in this way as well. Borrower qualifications go down to a 580 FICO minimum and a 50% debt to income ratio, and no bankruptcies or foreclosures for 7 years. So they're really generous terms. I will say that each lender will have their own underwriting procedures, but those are sort of the qualifications that could get you into the program. And we will cover, because of this expansion now, we will cover what Amy was talking about with regards to pipes in the home. So the replacement of either lead or galvanized pipes in the home, if someone needs to make that replacement. I also know that you have a group of homeowners who are concerned about PFAS in their water. We will also pay for water filtration for home wells. We're adding a lot of measures as we speak, but a lot of them, again, focusing on water in the home. So we'd love to work with you just to make this, promote this and make it available. If you know of any contractors who would be interested, please let Amy know, because we love getting contractors into our program, and some of these contractors aren't quite used to using financing yet. So we have to get them in and approved. But we stand ready to help your residents in the town to make their homes safer and more resilient.
So just real quick, and I'll turn it over to Katie. I can't thank you enough for coming tonight.
Absolutely.
I think there's all different options and availabilities for clean water, as we all want, whether it be lead pipes or PFAS. There's now another opportunity. I know Amy and I spoke of you can get charcoal filters out for your tap. They run you about $125
Right.
a spigot as well. So there's all sorts of great options. I think the markets, like the Green Bank, is seeing the need, and I can't thank you enough for you guys.
Absolutely. The sheet I left behind has a link to our website, so you can go on to check out Smarty and see. I just did an inventory. We have over 90 measures that we support right now.
Could you send it to us or the mayor?
Yes.
PDF form, and he could share it with us?
Yes.
And then we could spread it on social media?
Yes, we can do that.
Very effective.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Katie and then Doug.
My question is your Green Bank, everything is wonderful. Is that also applicable to people who have private wells?
It is for people with private
We have a
wells.
lot of people in this
No,
town.
absolutely. We actually don't provide, we feel that the financing for the towns should be responsible for the cleanliness of their water, right?
Yes.
And I understand that the lead pipe is another issue, and we'll cover that. But a lot of our work is designed to be around private wells.
Right.
That's the whole
So
goal.
what you just said about the town being responsible,
For,
who owns the water?
I'm sorry, it's the water company, sorry,
Thank you.
I misspoke.
Okay.
The water company responsible, And then the individual's responsible. Forgive me, I
That's okay.
spent 26 years working at ESPN. All this stuff is very, very new to me. I can actually talk about this stuff, which is pretty amazing, but yes.
You're doing a great job. No,
Thank
it's just that was a bit of a sore point in the beginning.
Yes, yes,
Amy
yes.
She disabused everybody of that, so thank you
She,
very much.
yes, she did not, give me any lines to say. We weren't in cahoots or anything.
Thank you.
But yes, I will send you the information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So real quick, I have a question for you before you walk away.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have filtration systems and stuff like that. Do you offer testing?
So, yes.
Because a lot of people are worried about the
Yes.
cost of testing.
Yes, so this is something we're trying to wrap our heads around, right? Because you do test, and if you don't have a problem, then you don't have a problem. But if you have testing and you need to do something, then you move forward. Our loans traditionally don't look back, right? To look at expenses that you did before you applied for the loan, but we're gonna we'll figure that out. Because we know that although lead testing may be $30, some of the other testing can be a lot more expensive,
Sure.
can be hundreds of dollars.
Right, sure.
And if and so we will cover that if the person decides that they need to move forward and they want to get a Smarty loan, they get approved. Yep.
And real quick, just to help you promote this program.
Yeah.
The Smarty Loan also covers all sorts of energy efficiency
Yes.
measures, right? After people have had like their Home Energy Solutions program, their energy
Absolutely.
audit done, which we have promoted very well here in the town of Milford
Absolutely.
for the last 8 years.
Yeah, we do
So-
insulation, we do windows.
Right.
Some of the other measures that we have include flood proofing. So we are adding a lot of new measures to the energy efficiency that we spoke
And you
about.
still have on-bill financing?
We do not do on-bill financing.
Anymore.
On-bill financing is with Eversource that runs the Connecticut heat loan. That's a different product.
It used to be you guys a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Somebody hasn't told me that. Now I look silly in front of you.
No.
I'm gonna ask about that.
And then when you do have tax, sorry to interrupt you, but when you, like Tom said, the efficiency stuff that you upgrade to, that's actually a tax deduction too. Of the
Yes.
tax.
Yeah, we don't give any tax advice, but yes,
Yeah.
you can get tax deductions for that.
Which is big when you start talking about $20,000-$30,000 worth of stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
And incentives from the state.
Heat pumps, we're definitely promoting heat pumps. We think that's kind of the way to go.
Right.
And so there are definitely those available through the federal government when you file your taxes.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand, if you get a heat, if you get an efficient, say hot water heater and stuff, and you replace it with something very old, you can actually deduct that. If you talk to your accountant, or if you know how to do it on your tax return,
Absolutely.
you can deduct that. A lot of people don't know that.
Absolutely. We're all after efficiency. We even still support oil equipment if it's more efficient than what you already have. Because we understand that not everybody can or wants to go towards natural gas or towards solar, but if you can make your oil burn more efficient, that still helps.
Right?
Absolutely.
But your focus tonight, just so that the public hears it, is to finance and help with water
Yeah.
solutions.
Yes, you're all hands up while you're asking me questions.
Yes.
So you
So that you can finance a water system in your house.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. And again, it starts at $50,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome. $500 and it goes up to $50,000. It doesn't start at 50.
Fantastic.
I just have a question.
Katie?
May I? Just because we are on the subject of water again, would you just advise us as to how someone with a private well, we think you covered the aquarium area, would go about finding a way to get their water tested? We no longer have somebody in town who can walk up to it, or they come to you. How do we do that?
Absolutely. So I have a couple slides on PFAS as well, so I can share some information on that. But yes, there are opportunities. We had one discounted water testing event, and we're planning to have others. And I have some other resources for funding for PFAS as well.
Okay, thank you.
So you mean people can come to the event and bring their water and they'll test it there? Is that what you mean?
So what we do is we offer my sanitarian staff to go out and test people's water on their behalf for a discounted price.
Oh, good.
Because you have to be trained to test the water.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share some community resources as well. There's a page on our website regarding the lead and copper rule. You can find it very easily because now over the last couple of weeks, and we'll leave it through probably the end of the month, if not a little bit longer, the banner on the top of our website says if you've recently received a letter from Aquarian and you have any questions, click here. That first link will bring you to the Aquarian website, and the second link will bring you to this page. regarding the new lead and copper rule. So now moving on to PFAS investigations. So I had shared this slide last time, but just to reiterate, there are ongoing PFAS investigations in several towns throughout the state. If a resident detects PFAS at levels above the DPH action level, which is currently 10 parts per trillion for private wells, DEEP will conduct a confirmation test at no cost to the homeowner. If the second test confirms the presence of PFAS at a level above the drinking water action level, DEEP will reach out to all residents with a private well within 500 feet of the residence that had an elevated test to encourage these homeowners to test their private wells. If additional residences are found to have elevated test results, DEEP expands their testing radius to include any additional private wells within 500 feet of homes with elevated results.
Fast question.
Sure.
Is it 500 feet from house to house, or is it 500 feet to the property?
I believe it's well to well.
Well to well.
And any homes that record elevated results are offered bottled water and remediation treatment free of charge. So the current status of PFAS in New Milford, HVHD is informed by DEEP when DEEP is made aware of an elevated PFAS test in a private well. To date, DEEP and HVHD have been made aware of 3 private well results or residences with PFAS above the drinking water action level. And there have been 2 private well results or residences with PFAS above the new EPA MCLs, but below the drinking water action level. And then we discussed the private water system results as well, and they are working to remediate. Community resources for PFAS as well. And then here's that financial and funding support. So discounted water testing events, as I mentioned, we'll be hosting more of those in the future. The Clean Water Assistance Program, as we mentioned, is some funding for filtration. The Connecticut Green Bank is an option for PFAS as well, as we heard. And that community water system funding is an opportunity for our community water systems in New Milford as well. So with regard to private wells, unfortunately, and we've done a lot of work trying to track down some funding for private wells, there is an organization called RCAP Solutions, which is a Rural Community Assistance Program. That's what RCAP stands for. After speaking with them, and we were connected with them through EPA's Water Technical Assistance Program, they shared with us that only 2 or 3 private wells would be able to receive funding through the RCAP program. So if you're quick to click on that link, you may be lucky, but unfortunately that's not a great solution for the majority of folks here in New Milford, so we are continuing to look for additional funding opportunities there. And that includes continuing to monitor as funding opportunities move to RFP. We have also included some education regarding remediation, and that is some information from DPH regarding granular activated carbon treatment. And we can continue, of course, to advocate both with state DPH and the Connecticut Association of Directors of Health. And if you have questions regarding any of the information that I've shared tonight or anything at all, we recommend that you can stop by our office. We're located right here in Town Hall, just a couple doors down. Here are our office hours, and then we have our contact information here as well. You can find us here online, our website, our Facebook page, and our Instagram page also. And then there is some additional contact information for myself, for the state for all things PFAS related, for folks at state DPH and the Emerging Contaminants Unit, and then for CTD.
Amy, I've had some people reach out to me that have gotten their wells tested and by York Labs, which is the ones that you had recommended, correct? And they were notified that they had PFAS in the water, but York Labs wouldn't tell them exactly what the level was. So they had to go and get the further test for another $400. It came to like $600 and something altogether. What do you know about that?
Can you share that information with me, because it's not something
Sure.
I'd heard, and regulatorily I don't think that's appropriate. So
Well,
we
it
can,
doesn't sound appropriate.
No, it doesn't. So I
No.
can, if you could
Exactly.
share that with me,
will.
and I can follow up
I'll
with
get
this.
that to you.
Yeah.
And there's more than 3 wells in the town of New Milford that are contaminated, so.
So the labs are required to report that information to us, and if they're testing with Deep also reports that information
Right,
to us.
so there are more.
I would hope that individuals would be incentivized to share those results, because when they do, it allows us to do mapping, it allows us to understand more of the scope here in New Milford, so they would be doing the public a service if they're willing to share those results. Yeah.
Doug?
Real quick, so Amy, how's the, I know that like the last year and a half, this has kind of come up with PFAS. How's the reaction been from the public calling you and asking for information? Has it been more than usual? Do you see a lot more people calling? Is it something that's mute and just here with us talking? Are people aware of it?
So I request that all information on PFAS, or all requests, I guess, regarding PFAS go to either myself or my leadership sanitarian staff. I would say it's consistently, if we get one call a month, that's high. We do not hear very many people reaching out.
And the one woman that was here, and she was part of the community well, if you remember her, do you know if there's any resolution with that? Did she get that all solved up?
So I think we connected, and she had shared that she was able to identify who the owner of that community well system was. I'm not sure if they had done any testing, but I would definitely recommend that if they have not, or if they're looking for treatment funding, they use the links that we shared here tonight, because those would be great resources for those folks.
Is that the Sunny Valley?
Correct.
Community well. So yeah, they're definitely positive, and it was a high level. And I think the owner of the company is working to, you know, for some kind of resolution to the whole thing. But it is extremely expensive, and especially for somebody, you know, for a private company, it's a lot of money.
For sure.
But
So
anyway.
I think this would be a great opportunity for them.
Okay.
So Mrs. Waters, would the community, say there was a community of 50 houses and they own this well, could that community with their own HOA apply for a loan through you?
Not for the Smarty loan, because it's limited to homes that have 1 to 4 residential units. But
Owner
I
occupied.
think there might, I would encourage them to reach out and see. We're looking for opportunities to help people in this area.
Right.
So I would encourage them, I could point them in the right direction, in terms of at least asking the question, because we have other groups that work on other areas of the state. We have a group that works on municipal issues, so that might be something that they could take up.
And
I
Amy,
can't
for,
guarantee anything, but at least they should make a phone and ask.
Amy, for the small community wells, there's funding available right now.
Yes,
That
that's
you
correct.
put it, so Doug, there is funding
Through
available
the
for it.
town or the state?
No, through, which one is it through, Amy?
So it's
For the community?
through a group that's responsible for funding and resource information for water for the Northeast. So they're actually out of Maine, but they work, very frequently with Connecticut, with Massachusetts, with.
So the owner of the community wells could talk to those people?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Call you to get that information.
absolutely. Yeah.
So it's good news, there's funding available.
Right.
There's availability for testing. You got the Green Bank, if you'd like to pursue that avenue, and then also, as we've talked about here several times, you also could bypass that, put your own charcoal filter on each one of your spigots, and you're all good.
Well, the problem with that is that they're not very effective, and you constantly have to replace them. So like if you're looking at doing it over a year's time, it's going to cost the consumer a lot of money. So, and basically the Home Depot
So Mary
filters are
Jane,
no good.
Amy, I think we read the EPA standards, and weren't those charcoal filters well within the ability to?
Those were the ones that the EPA had given their sign off on. So meaning that they were effective in removing PFAS. Do they have to be replaced? There are some that have to be replaced at a more regular cadence than others, but even if you install carbon filtration in your home and you have a whole home filter, that still has to be replaced as well. So when we're talking about filtration, unfortunately, that's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Right, but it will end up being expensive. If you buy the cheap filters, you're going to be replacing them. And what do? Put them on every faucet you have in your house? How does that work?
Well, you can get a whole home filter. There are some that are point of use for various parts of your house, so you could put them on every faucet. But they are relatively economical. So even if you are having to replace them, they're much cheaper than some of the other options out there, and you're able to kind of price it out for your own home. If you have a lot of faucets, I would perhaps recommend going with one that, you know, covers more area, or if you don't have that many that you're using regularly, maybe those point of use filters work.
So, in regards back to the lead, you said something, does Aquarian have any type of program for assisting? Did you say they will assist?
So on their
homeowners?
website, they recommend, and what State DPH has shared with us is that you can call them and you can ask if they are able to identify your service line material, if they have plans in place to identify your service line material, and if they will fund a water test. I have not had any contact with folks who've done that, so I'm not sure
So they're
how
just
wide.
funding a water test, that's it? They'll just fund the water test, but they won't do anything to help the homeowner?
So Aquarian themselves, I'm not sure. So I reached out to Aquarian today because there are a lot of questions that I have. This information has really been pushed out to us pretty recently. They started sending the letters, I want to say like 3 weeks ago. And State DPH just had a meeting on this last Friday. So this is evolving information. There's a lot we don't know, but when I get that answer, that question answered rather from Aquarian, I can ask others as well, and I can see what they're offering.
So, like approximately, like if you had a building that was built like 10 years ago or less, is that, and you're on Aquarian water, is that a concern that your pipes would be, your connecting pipes would be lead? Not likely, right? I mean,
Likely
most of the
not.
time-
There was a slide in here that said there are some fixtures that were marked lead-free as of 2014 that you still need to be careful of. But I would imagine if your home was built more recently, the risk is relatively low, yes.
But Aquarian has plans? Who has the plans for that? I mean, like, so like I'm president of Milford Affordable Housing, and we own Brookside Commons. And so I think we've been there like I think it's maybe could be around 10 years. So, I mean, what's the possibility that we've got pipes that are lead? Probably not likely, right?
I mean, if it's newer complex, again, the newer it is, the less likely it is that it's lead. The whole purpose of the EPA coming out with this new lead and copper rule is because we're moving in the right direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want folks to not know what their lead pipes are, or what their pipes rather, hopefully not lead, what their pipes are made of. We want them to know what the service line materials are. So Aquarian is working to find that information, and as they're finding that information, they're being proactive. They have to be proactive because it's regulatorily required, but they're sending these letters out so people are aware of what they're doing. So that's the part of the process that we're in now. They are forthcoming about the fact that a lot of these service line materials are unknown, and they're working to make sure that they are able to identify what those materials are moving forward. What the timeline looks like for that, we would have to ask Aquarian.
Mary Jane, in the development that you guys do with the affordable housing, when you do the development in your documents for construction,
Yeah.
it should be listed
I
what
was going
type
to go
of
back
piping.
and look at the
Yeah.
schematics and see the
It should
drawings.
be listed
and
what
see-
kind of piping's in there.
Yeah, that's what I
When
thought
was
too.
it built?
I think, I don't know. I don't think we're over 10 years. You know, Brookside is fairly new.
You're
So.
about 7 years.
What?
7, 8 years, right?
I don't know. It might be 7 or 8 years.
You can also hire a plumber who can take a look at some of that information, and some of these funding opportunities would cover that as well.
I know that when I did my whole house filter, basically it looks like this in a glass tube, and you can buy it from Amazon, and you put the filter in it, and it costs about $300 to $500 for the plumber to put it in with the unit, and then after that you turn the main water off, you unscrew it, you take the filter out, you put the new one in, and you screw it back in.
What are you doing with your filters? Because if the filters have PFAS in them and lead in them, what
I
are
put
you
them in
doing?
a bag, I seal it, and I throw it in the garbage.
Is there anything people are doing for disposal of filters?
Um,
It's PFAS and it's forever chemicals, so.
Sure, there are a number of different programs that allow people to dispose of toxic waste in an appropriate way, so I'm sure there's one locally that we can identify for
Yeah,
that.
maybe you could find that out.
I would suggest that any questions like this that people have, they either call you or call Aquarian. Right?
Yes.
And I have a question. When somebody hooks up to a community sewer line, now I know about this from the city time, but, so as you pointed, the curb break. So what's on that side is the company. What's on the other side is the homeowner,
Correct.
right? Okay, so that's just, I just wanted to clarify that because I'm sure there are people who see this and know perfectly well they hooked up to it, you know, we panicked or whatever, but, that's the way it goes.
Any other questions for Amy?
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Amy, thank you very, very much. Appreciate it, Barbara. Thank you for coming tonight as well. And Katie?
That's it.
That's it.
Item 10 is made.
Cal?
Good night, everybody.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.